Right. And that's a fascinating point that sort of leads me to my next question, which was about, I think Harsha Bhogle was once speaking to Jared Kimber on his podcast, and he mentioned that he believes there's a potential for there to be multiple broadcasts. So I know we already have languages, there's Hindi commentary and regional as well. But he said there's a lot of fans who like analytics, who like numbers, who like matchup and technical information. And he thinks there's a potential at some point to have two sets of commentary. One is for the general fan, one is for people who follow the game more closely. Just because it's, they might have different appetite. A general fan may not know where cover is or where silly mid off is, and it might be good to explain it to them. But for others, it may not, fit the bill. So, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think there's potential for having such multiple streams?
How would you manage it?
I think the thought behind that was it would be in options, so similar to
Yeah,
how we have
okay.
right now,
Like
where
you
you can
have a
switch
super select.
languages.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so. If that's the case, then obviously yes. Because look, there are different types of commentators as well. So personally speaking, I'm not a big stats man, because I've always felt that stats can always be tweaked to show somebody in good light, and it's like you can tweak it to show somebody in bad light. It's like if Vijay Bhai is here, Vijay Bhai will vouch for me. I remember a test match where Vijay Bhai was covering it, and it was in Kanpur. Andrew Hall ground us to the most boring 100 because the pitch was absolutely dead.
I remember that.
Yeah. So you're bowling a ball, you're beaten the man in the air, bat pad goes down, edges go down, which means there's nothing in the surface. There's only as much I can do, or Anil can do, or Bajji can do, and all three of us were playing. And I was sent to do the post match. I was asked a question, and I rattled off a long answer explaining what happened. And then in the end, I just said the pitch was lifeless, which it was. Because after that, when we went in, we kept smashing Nitini and Hayward and Pollock and whoever played. But what came out in the next day as a headline, Kartik says the pitch was lifeless. They forgot everything else I said. So similarly, stats also, when a Dinesh Kartik goes and gets 14 of 5 and gets out, and somebody who bats top of the order and gets 50 of 44, his average is 50 and this guy's average is 15. So many people only see a lopsided thing. When you say 106 matches, 240 wickets, how many times do we explain that there were so many games where he didn't bowl at all, or he hardly bowled? You only see 106, 240, do the simple maths, only 2 wickets per game. What nonsense. Terrible bowler. So right. I've never been a stats person. The impact factor of a player is not by that. Sometimes in a team, I'm not looking at stats to pick a team as a captain. He's averaging 50, so he needs to get picked. I'm only looking at the utility of a person. When you select teams, you look at utility. How do they fit? How good are they in situations? So again, you have commentators who like lots of stats, who are very stat based. So it's like, it's a tough one. So yes, I suppose there will come a time where Nish says, I like flowery stuff. Ting, press of a button, there are flowery commentators. You say, I want stat based. You press a button, there are stat based commentators. Could be, never know.
I mean, it does take a lot of resources, for sure.
Of course, yes. So but basically, when you employ 6 commentators, you start employing 18 commentators.
Well, the IPL has shown, right? Probably even a little bit of international cricket too, where, again, like Mayank mentioned, there are different languages. So we have different sets of commentators. This does take a little bit more, just a little bit more if you want, because there are fans who do love numbers, who do love the stats side of it. So do we cater to them as well? Because they're not getting from, what you were talking about.
But we do throw in a lot of stats. Right. We keep seeing, every time you look at commentary, all of us are constantly giving out stats. Lots of stats, either as a ticker, either as a lower third, sometimes a big page of it. We're constantly throwing stats. It's just that within that span of time, you don't want to lose the moment. There are so many things happening. What do you stick to? It's a tough one. It's
Yeah.
a real tough one. It's like a proper buffet. Which one do you want to pick? You want to eat everything. You want to say everything, but how much can you fit in?
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's interesting
Do you
problem
miss a
because
glorious cover drive of a Virat Kohli in trying to explain a stat? Would you rather relish that? It's
right,
everything is time bound. Everything has
Yeah.
got a time and space for it, and
Right.
just to fit it at the right time, it's never easy all the time.
Right.
There's so many
right.
things
No,
happening.
that's very true. That's very true. And I think the sort of the background where I was thinking this from was, I moved to the US in the last decade, and I started watching baseball. And baseball is very, very numbers oriented, very technical. And for a new person to watch that, it was unbearable. I couldn't really get into it unless I was at the stadium and, enjoying the environment. So it's very true because different fans will have different perspectives. So
Exactly.
while having multiple streams is probably not a bad idea, it definitely, with the time constraint of an over, the way things happen in 5 minutes, you'll have to be very careful how you fit all of that.
You are increasing production costs of broadcasters now.